Hello, what do you think of when you hear the word poverty? This, or this? Well, it's true that Africa was identified as the poorest continent in the world. However, you've missed one important point. Poverty is a global issue that concerns not only underdeveloped or developing countries but also developed countries where we tend to forget its existence. Now, let's talk about Japan. Japan is the country that is famous for sushi, kimono, sakura, anime, sumo, and so on. As of 2014, Japan is the fourth biggest economy in the world, with high living standard and outstanding technology. However, not so many people know that Japan is one of the developed countries with the highest rate of poverty. In fact, 16 out of 100 Japanese people are now living under poverty. The situation is worse in Okinawa, where the rate of poverty is nearly 30% of the population. These are the highest numbers that can be experienced by a developed country. The real number is believed to be higher, as a lot of people who are living under poverty line in Japan are not reported. Moreover, the poverty rate does not show any sign of reducing. Poverty is actually considered a taboo word in the Japanese society, so it is usually avoided to mention. Of the 34 OECD member countries, it said Japan ranked second to the United States in terms of children living in relative poverty, with 13.7%. Increased 2% from the 1990s. So, under what condition are these poor people living? The only ways for the poor in Japan to earn money are to do low-paid jobs or to work in high-risk environments, which result in a different range of occupational health and safety risks. Especially, it was reported that Japanese homeless people were put to work to radioactive soil and debris in Fukushima City for less than minimum wage. Moreover, in a big city like Tokyo, because a modest 30 square meter flat in a central location can easily cost 150,000 yen, which equals $1,471 a month, poor people have no choice but living in net cafe or mostly on the street. So what are the consequences? In big cities or urban areas, poor people have to face greater health risks due to higher concentrations of people, enterprises, vehicles, wastes, etc. In fact, poor people in Japan are suffering from different health problems such as joints, dizziness. Moreover, poverty is a predisposing factor for neoplasms of the uterus and lung, and stillbirth. Poverty is also said to be one of the causes of the increasing of smoking in all age groups and both genders. The relationship between income and alcohol use is equivocal. Some studies showed that individuals at lower levels of socioeconomic status consume higher levels of alcohol. An investigation among the homeless people in Tokyo suggested that comorbidity of alcoholic psychosis, alcohol-dependent syndrome with both liver disease and pulmonary tuberculosis were greater than in the general population. In addition to that, relative poverty, especially in children, has a severe hazard on them when they tend to drink alcohol and smoke earlier than normal kids. Lastly, a well-established association of health and unemployment has negative impacts on mental health, among which suicide is the biggest problem. Now we are going to look at the relationship between poor people and the environment in Japan. Satterthwaite listed poverty as a major cause of environmental degradation as a myth that has very little evidence to be proved. Then who is to be blamed for environmental degradation? In fact, Satterthwaite claimed that the consumption pattern of non-poor groups and the production and distribution systems that serve them are to be blamed. Meanwhile, the urban poor use so few resources and generate so few wastes that their contribution to environmental degradation is actually not significant. To continue with, Satterthwaite defined environmental degradation as high use of scarce non-renewable resources, damage or destruction of key renewable resources, and the generation of non-biodegradable wastes, and so on. Based on this definition, we can determine whether poverty led to environmental degradation and harmed environment or not. Firstly, let's answer this question: how much energy does a person consume per day? This is the amount of electricity that each household appliance will cost per hour. According to World Bank data, In 2012, the electricity consumption per capita in Japan was 6,749.73 kilowatt per hour per person. Keep in mind that 1 kilowatt equals 1.263 pounds of carbon dioxide, while a tree can only absorb up to 48 pounds of carbon dioxide annually. You will be able to see how much impact the environment has to bear. However, Japanese homeless people live on the street, rely on public transport or walking, which ensures low consumption of oil, gas or electricity, so they are not responsible for the consumption of non-renewable resources. Moreover, they do not use much water for their daily life. Their food consumption is also significantly less than rich people, not to mention that most of the times the food they eat come from the thrown away from convenience stores and restaurants. Because poor people in Japan do not use much non-renewable, renewable resources and do not generate much non-biodegradable wastes, they are not to be blamed for environment degradation. Wait. There's one more thing that you should know. Japanese homeless people are known to be remarkably polite and quiet. They also take care for stray and wild animals in urban parks. Even though they sleep on the street, in the train station or in the park at night, during the day they carefully pack up their belongings and put them off to the side and relocate so that they will stay out of the way of other people. As it is reported, many homeless people earn money by collecting recycled garbage, which actually helps save the environment. Therefore, Japanese homeless people cannot be blamed for environmental degradation or any other environment issues. In contrast, they are the ones who are protecting the environment. What we have to do is to be aware of these poor people's existence and take care of them so that they can be saved from suffering poverty, health problems, and inequality.
Created using Powtoon.